Happy National Signing Day. I'm Bryce Kuhn alongside Matthew Lang here. It's going to be a National Signing Day episode here. It's a holiday, Matthew, for college football as we're getting ready to just kind of already happened and kind of preview what's going to happen later on this afternoon. Once again, if you're watching on Facebook Live, thanks for watching. And if you are listening to this on podcast later on or watching it on our YouTube page later on, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe as well. We're here at Cook's Hot Dogs in Columbus, Georgia. And Matthew, we go ahead and get it started. We're going to have some special guests on later today, later on in this episode. But we're going to start the big commit that's already happened this morning that was kind of the undecided. Go ahead and talk about that, the running back that committed to Penn State.
Yes. Noah Cain, obviously choosing between Auburn, Penn State, and Texas, and Penn State leading the charge right there. And, you know, at first I was thinking that he would go to Auburn, but then you start to think, okay, Justin Fields decommits from Georgia. He originally was committed to Penn State. Is there a little bit of, communication going on between the two, saying, hey, come play with Penn State? You never know. So my prediction is that Fields will probably go to Penn State. Originally committed there. Trace McSorley gone and graduated. Yep. So, it sounds like it's a good decision for Cain, and like he'll get some good playing time. He's a great bag, athletic, catch the ball at the backfield really well. So it'll be interesting to see where Fields goes now that Cain's going there because he's from the South. So we'll see what happens, but I think that's a good pickup for Penn State for sure.
Yeah, Noah Cain, one of those guys that's kind of got that one deadly cut, reminds you of a guy like DeAndre Swift already in the backfield at Georgia. And we're going to talk a lot about Justin Fields. We're going to have Brandon Sudge, the UGA beat writer for the Macon Telegraph, come on in a little bit. He's going to talk about that whole fiasco that started Sunday evening and kind of, opening up his recruitment almost once again as he was in the transfer portal. But as we get closer, we're also going to talk to Ben Moore, editor of Georgia State's 24/7 sports site as well. And he's going to talk a little bit about why this early signing period is really crucial for Group of 5 teams and why that's a big thing. We've already seen, you have these big name guys that come out. Ed Oliver's one of them.
Yeah.
He's going to probably be a top 3 pick in the NFL draft. He's at Houston, one of the better non-Power 5 schools. Great defensive tackle. He spurned some big Power 5 schools to stay near his home and go to Houston. Covering Georgia State, they've gotten an offensive lineman from it was kind of a soft commit to Clemson and then backs off of it as a 3-star. So it's really interesting here in the second year. We talked about this last week, the second year of kind of having the signing period split into 2 days. And it allows these guys to maybe get a better gauge of like, okay, who really wants me?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be interesting to see because there's a lot of teams with some stacked position groups, and I think Georgia's one of those. We're going to get to talk to Brandon about that as well. But your take on it for Georgia is one of the biggest teams, kind of talked about this entire week, especially with Justin Fields. They just had a guy flip from Ohio State to them, so add another quarterback in that room. John Reese Plumlee, 4-star out of Mississippi, is going to try to come over here. I mean, what is that quarterback room going to look like next year, in your opinion? You talked about Fields most likely leaving, but still you have some good guys coming back in, and obviously Jake Fromm, to me, the bona fide starter of that group.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And like you said with Plumlee, I've read that they're going to want to blue shirt him, so probably get those 4 games of experience in, then probably, sit him for the rest of the year. But from what we're hearing and what has happened, Dwan Mathis flips his commitment from Ohio State to Georgia. So that'll be interesting to see. Number 2 dual threat quarterback in the country. So it'll be interesting to see what his role is. And, we don't really know if Fromm's going to stay one more year. Does he have the potential to leave after this year and go to the NFL? Absolutely. But I kind of see him as an Aaron Murray type guy, like loves the University of Georgia.
Yep.
Has a good family situation because most of these guys, families are poor. I mean, they have to go to the NFL and
to make money,
to provide for
their
them.
family.
And so with Jake Fromm being in a good situation, you kind of think, well, does he really love the university, wants to get his degree, then go to the NFL? So that'll be interesting to see. But I think it's incredible just how the brand of Georgia has changed so fast where, Mathis, we didn't recruit him until 2 days ago when we found out about the Fields rumors. And so the fact that we can just flip somebody, that just speaks how Kirby has transformed the culture and the brand of Georgia. Also with Dylan Gabriel, he's decided between UCF and Georgia. I think
and what does he do? You got potentially
after Mathis coming. He's like, well, he can go to UCF because Milton's, with his injury situation, NFL hopes. Who knows what's going to happen? And the fact that he could probably get a starting position at UCF kind of questions, well, should I go to Georgia even though the brand's bigger, or should I go to UCF and start? So I think that's a big question for these quarterbacks as they commit to these schools.
And one thing, you look around, a lot of quarterbacks, they come out with so many lists, a lot of quarterbacks have almost transferred after that first year.
Yeah.
Fields obviously being the guy that's kind of on the market right now. We talked Jacob Eason the year before, and just all those guys are at Georgia. Kyler Murray, the former the Heisman winner for this year. Baker Mayfield the year before, or with the Heisman winner, and a couple years ago he transferred from Texas Tech over to Oklahoma. It walked on. So I think it's interesting. You see, it's almost like a free agency that you would see in NBA or MLB. These guys are like, my services are not really. I don't feel like I'm getting the best opportunity shot here. Let's go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you see, could he get a waiver? That's going to be one of the biggest things for Justin Fields. If he gets that waiver, I feel like he's for sure gone. And you've talked about as well, if he doesn't get the waiver, is he better off just sitting behind for maybe another year?
Because
know the
offense.
Going
to come and start over him. And I think, and just say if he does transfer from Georgia, and my buddy said this to me, and I completely agree with it. I think Oklahoma probably has the best sales pitch for him.
Yeah.
Look, we've had 2 transfers come in the past 2-3 years, and the past 2 Heismans are from Oklahoma.
And
so,
Mayfield was the number 1 pick.
Exactly. And Oklahoma throws the ball 40 to 50 times a game, and that's what Fields is wanting. He wants to use his legs, but also use his arm. Mm-hmm. And they're pass first, and they have like 3 5-star wide receivers committed to them right now. So I think they probably had the best sales pitch for him to go there, and I don't want this to happen, but Jaden Hasselwood was considered Oklahoma, during his recruitment.
And he was very vocal during his recruitment about wanting the team that he went to throw the ball more, and that was kind of a message sent to Georgia.
And him and Fields have that close relationship. So, and when we saw Fields decommit, Hasselwood sent out a tweet saying, "Well, things just got tough," or something along the lines of that. And you're like, okay, well, this is not good.
Definitely not good. Yeah.
So when these recruits form these bonds, they want to play with each other. And so when things like this happen, it kind of stirs the pot around a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see within these next couple hours where these big recruits decide to take their talents to.
Yeah, the next couple hours are pivotal for some schools, kind of making that jump. One team is, we're going to get Ben Moore on the line here in just a second. You can go ahead and call him and get him on the line. But you see, one team, Texas A&M.
Right.
That Jimbo Fisher is kind of first full year as a coach, and now second year in the recruiting cycle. He has done really well with kind of their number 2, and they got a legitimate shot to maybe finish 1. We'll see what happens when Kobe Dean and some other guys. We're getting Ben Moore on the line. Ben Moore has been the editor of Georgia State's website as well, and really covering 24/7 sports and kind of done all of that. And so he's done a really good job of kind of talking about what is it like for the Group of 5, and we're going to talk with him as well about that Group of 5. Hey Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
It's a crazy day for National Sign Day. You and I talked earlier. It's kind of like a national holiday as well.
Yeah, it sure feels like it, man. Between the early signing period, you kind of got everything started last year in 2018, but it's going hot and heavy, and now you're seeing almost as many as 75% of the recruits nationally sign early, and coaches are trying to get their board set up. So it's been a lot of fun, a lot of work. I know the coaching staff, and certainly keeps guys like me pretty busy.
So Ben, for you covering Georgia State, you're more familiar with the Group of 5 and how they handle this. How has the shift of splitting this period up into 2 periods really helped these non-Power 5 schools like a Georgia State?
Yeah, it's been a huge help, to be honest with you. Being able to lock guys in early, that's the biggest fear of G5 schools is just having guys from the Power 5 ranks miss on their recruits, guys' targets and things like that. So they have to go and raid potentially going into this Sun Belt Conference, USA, MAC, things like that. Even the AAC ranks. And now you lock them in, the recruitment's over, and it just forces more and more early evaluation. And you're starting to see even kids who are taking official visits earlier in the season, first or second week of the college football season. So basically, they're done. They're done taking maybe potentially a final official visit first or second week of December. But in a lot of cases, it's just really pushed the recruiting calendar forward in a lot of ways. And for G5 programs, they can lock in 3/4 of their class, like I've seen today, certainly across the Sun Belt. It's a great advantage for sure.
You talk about the Sun Belt kind of really stepped up their play this year in some notable bowl games as well. And I know you're a Georgia State guy, but Georgia Southern got a big win in their bowl game. App State as well. What does it say about the conference as a whole making that leap, and you're seeing these teams become more talented and bring in some 3 and some 4-star recruits?
Yeah, it definitely it comes down to relationships. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but the conferences as a whole have gotten stronger, Sun Belt included. And I think honestly, you're just looking at better coaches. You're seeing the quality of coaches. Why you're seeing guys like Scott Satterfield go on to take the job at New England. See a little further. Sunbelt used to be a launching off point basically for many different conferences, and I think you're seeing that. And honestly, even a guy like Billy Napier, who has Clemson or Alabama, what he's done with Louisiana, Lafayette, they're going to sign basically a top 50 class, which is just unheard of from a Sunbelt school, and can put their stamp on basically one of the top programs, certainly the G5 ranks. Up there against any in the country, and that includes University of Central Florida, who, as we know, hasn't lost a ball game in 2 years. So I think the caliber of coaching has certainly gone up, and certainly performing well in the postseason is a huge advantage. Getting recruits excited, they want to see you on TV, they want to see winning programs. And to see in these recruiting battles when you're banging heads with programs like a Max schools, for example.
And Ben, we got one more question for you. We know you got a busy day on hand with everything that's going on for Georgia State. We'll get your take on this Justin Fields situation. You're from the state of Georgia. You're from around here. What is your take on him and just the biggest talk is, well, when you get players like this over and over again, some of them are going to want to leave. What is your take on that whole situation?
Yeah, I saw a great stat yesterday. 11 of the last 19 five-star quarterbacks have transferred from their original school. So it's really kind of par for the course. I know Justin Fields came in certainly well documented and well decorated to come out of Harrison High School. But there are many people who thought, hey, look, he can potentially come in there and unseat Jake Fromm, who just took Georgia to a national championship game against Alabama. It's very difficult to do that, and certainly the Georgia coaches looked at him and kind of his skill set as a unique, able to get out and do some things. But I thought it was very interesting. Really just didn't put him in situations where he was throwing the ball down the field. And as Zach Klein, local WSB, had it, he was more frustrated even after week 2 in the South Carolina game. Just basically going in there and handing off. It was one of those situations now where he goes and can look around. And of course, the news broke yesterday that he was going to transfer and enter into the transfer portal. So he becomes one of the hottest free agents out there. But I think it's more of credit to Jake Fromm and certainly his development, fighting off basically Jacob Eason as well as Justin Fields. And there'll be another guy, I'm sure, in 2019 and 2020 that he's going to have to kind of shake loose as well. So it's a credit to the development. I know a lot of Georgia fans are a little bit upset about losing another five-star quarterback, but it just shows you kind of what the level that Kirby Smart and his staff are recruiting. It happens at Alabama as well. Certainly they've seen their share of 4- and 5-star guys thanks to the program, just simply because they can't get on the field. So it is a positive thing, and as I remind fans all the time, about 10% of your roster will leave in the course of the first 2 years, just basically on attrition. So it's very normal for big-time college football, but we will see Justin Fields again, and interested to see what university he takes.
Yeah, we'll definitely see him again, and hopefully not play in Georgia. That would be rough for Georgia fans to watch, to have him have to line up against that defense. But thanks for coming on once again, and once again, you can follow everything that Ben does over at 24/7 Sports for Georgia State. And I know y'all got a busy day today, and we'll let you go, man. But thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, thanks for having me, Bryce. Appreciate it, man.
See you, man. Matthew, I think what Ben said about the group of 5 is couldn't be more true. I mean, you got guys that. He talked a lot about, and if you couldn't quite hear, we apologize, but what he was saying essentially is when it splits up like this, it's allowing these group of 5 teams to really solidify their class.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts pressure on these Power 5 schools that if you're going to offer this 3-star kind of tweener guy,
right,
you better go ahead and do that. If not, a Georgia State or a Troy or Georgia Southern or a MAC school is going to offer that.
Yeah, and I think another thing to think about is these Power 5 schools, they only have a certain amount of scholarships. I think it's 24 scholarships per class for some teams. And so when you have these 3-stars that don't get that last scholarship spot, they're going to be looking to these schools like maybe a lower class, group of 5 like UCF or Georgia State and all these Sun Belt conference teams I think that's what they're going to be considering. So I think that's what's giving these group of 5 schools advantages, to not give these kids like a backup because they weren't good enough, but like the talent, nowadays, all these people are going to Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama, and these spots are being taken because, for instance, there was a kid being recruited for Georgia, and then a couple schools like Auburn and a lower level school, and he didn't get a scholarship spot, so he had to go to another school. So I think it's just creates a better opportunity for some of these kids when they can't go to these upper level schools like Georgia or Bama. So.
And going right along with that, Ben and I were talking about there's a quarterback that committed to Georgia State, actually, named Cornelius Brown, and he had went to a Nick Saban camp, went on an official visit to Alabama, had an offer early on, kind of cooled off with everything, especially to his brother kind of emerging. And then he pounces on that with Georgia State. Well, now Georgia State gets to say, well, look, he has an offer, and this offer, still able to be taken, but he chose Georgia State, and same thing as well. You see some of these guys that we talked, and Ed Oliver, Mackenzie Milton, these guys that slip through the cracks
immediate
playing time. That's one thing Will Mannis was saying. Why would you not want to go where you can play? And that's as Will's frustration with Georgia. He wanted to know, why did all these running backs want to go to Georgia? But I agree. I mean, you have guys like a Mackenzie Milton, guys that kind of go unheard of, and these guys still make the NFL. I mean, we're talking about the group of 5. It's not. And this is no disrespect. The group of 5 is not a division low or anything. I mean, there's very good teams, some great players that have come out of some group of 5 schools as well. And so I think that's going to be something to look at. But we're going to thank Ben for coming on and talking about that, kind of giving the perspective of, okay, what does this look like for non-Power 5 teams? We're going to go ahead and get Brandon Sudge on the line. Brandon is done a lot of work for Georgia football. He's been there throughout the heartbreak, been a good friend of mine for a long time, covered the Falcons in that epic Super Bowl collapse out in Houston, and then he also has worked with Georgia in the past 2 seasons, so he's gotten to see the national championship. So he's gotten to see a lot of it, and he's going to come on and just kind of talk about the recruiting day for Georgia as a whole. If we can get him on the line, we'll see. I talked to him before, and he was saying, it was kind of a shock to hear the whole Justin Fields news, and you knew he was a little bit frustrated. But hey, Brandon, can you hear me?
Hey man, what's up?
None much. You're live with us, but thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. What's up?
So I'm Bryce. Obviously, Matthew's here across from me.
Okay.
Tell us, what is the feel for Georgia and just from writers with the whole Justin Fields situation? That's kind of the first question that everyone wants to know. But what is your genuine feel on that?
Yeah. So Monday night, I believe it was. Maybe it was Monday night. Reports came out that Justin Fields was thinking about transferring from the program. Some reports said it was done. Some reports said it wasn't done. I personally have not been able to go and confirm that report yet. However, based on everything that's out there, we can speculate that there is a chance that he leaves. His name is in the NCAA portal and for other coaches to speak with him. So for me, what it comes down to, I think he'll travel to New Orleans. I think he'll play in the Sugar Bowl. And it's a matter of if he gets the NCAA hardship waiver that allows him to play immediately next season. And I think if he doesn't get it, there's a chance he comes back to Athens and plays at Georgia next year. But I would also say it's pretty unlikely. So based on that, I would say that the chances are good that Fields is out. Georgia currently has one quarterback on scholarship, and Jake Fromm, however, today with early signing day, they got John Reese Plumlee on radar, and DeJuan Smith, actually, he just flipped over from Ohio State about an hour ago. So I think overall Georgia's in an okay spot at quarterback. I don't think it kills them. I don't think Justin Fields made that bad of a move either. I mean, that's his decision. He wouldn't play very much in Georgia. So I think all in all, it'll be okay.
Hey, Brandon, this is Matthew. Just a quick question about the recruiting situation going on right now with Trey Sanders, and I'm hearing reports, across Twitter that we're now hearing that Holyfield is probably going to be staying for his senior season. What do you think with the situation with Trey Sanders and him, deciding between Georgia and Alabama and, across the vault, we're hearing that, this morning he was telling UGA coaches, I'm probably going to be heading to Georgia. So now that we're hearing that Holyfield is staying, what do you think the situation is with Sanders now to decide between Bama and Georgia, and now hearing that Holyfield might be staying for next year?
With the Holyfield stuff, that's all speculation.
Right.
From fans on message boards. So that's something we have to wait to see how that unfolds. And with Trey Sanders, I think we'll find that out in about a half hour here. But if Holyfield does end up staying, I do think that plays a part, absolutely. And Trey Sanders might go to Alabama or Florida or some other school. But again, I've talked around to some other players, and they say, "Oh, Trey Sanders is the guy. Kirby wants us to go get him." So, like I've said throughout the past week, that there's a good chance that Georgia ends up getting him. But with how these things have developed, how the rumors have swirled, I definitely think there's a chance he ends up somewhere else. But again, as I said, I think fans are too quick to jump in all the speculation. I think we need to wait and see what happens in the next half hour.
Absolutely.
And obviously you have the Nakobe Dean situation coming up, and all the crystal ball predictions all got him going to Alabama. For you, how much of a loss would that be for Georgia if they could not secure Nakobe Dean?
Yeah, I think Nakobe Dean obviously would be a huge add on Georgia's end. He's one of the top linebackers in the nation. He's got all he's got all the accolades that you need out of high school, but he hasn't said all that much to the media or anybody, honestly, for that matter. So it's kind of uncertain as to now as to where he'll go. But Georgia fans will know that in about an hour and a half.
Well, it's going to be an exciting day. We want to thank you for coming on. I know you got a busy day talking to recruits, whining and dining everybody. I know you got a busy day. We'll let you go, but thanks for coming on, Brandon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me, Bryce.
Thanks, Brandon.
All right. See ya.
Matthew, I think it speaks volumes. Nakobe Dean would be huge. A huge get for Georgia.
Especially with how thin we are at inside linebacker. Just the amount of playing time that he could possibly probably get. I know Channing Kendall, being in the system for a year now with the playbook. You have Adam Anderson and Tay Crowder in I believe his senior season.
He'll be in his fifth year next year, as a redshirt senior.
Yeah. So just with the amount of people we got, but also the experience we have is not very thick. With Tegan, the most playing time, and Tyndall just kind of learning the playbook. Inside linebacker position is really thin right now. So if he could come in, being in the weight room and with our program and getting used to the playbook, I think he could get some playing time immediately. I think that's something we could sell. Where Alabama, they have 5 stars, 5 stars, probably a linebacker. So it'll be interesting to see. I've read a couple of places where dad wants him, or parents want him to go to Bama, but he wants to go to Georgia. So how these family things happen, and we've seen on signing day where I saw where mom walked off the stage 5 years ago when his son committed to Alabama.
It was Landon Collins. Safety commits at the Under Armour All-American game. She was an LSU fan, had the colors on. He walks off. So signing day is not only big for the kids, but it's big for the parents as well. It's a stressful time. I think I agree with you. To me, for Georgia, looking in, Monty Rice is that guy right now who they really missed in that SEC championship game, and he's working his way back healthy. I was talking to Brandon. He said it should be 100% to it by. Hurt his foot during warm-ups against Tech or UMass. Can't remember which one it was. I think it's awesome to see, if they got him, what that would do for the team. You take a look just across the river from where we are over at Auburn. They did get a quarterback in Bo Nix, who's been kind of hard commit for a long time. And we talked about this last week. Is this going to be a situation? Can Nix come in and start right away? With Stidham going to the NFL, Auburn not able to secure Kelly Bryant to come, so Bo Nix has a legitimate shot to come in there week 1 and try to work for that job. And All-Star game played pretty well as well, and I think it's going to be exciting. Auburn fans, and I was talking with Will, they can get some O-line guys and get some O-line guys, and you never know with Auburn and Gus Malzahn. he's a good coach. We'll see what he can do though with that offense.
Yeah, and this will be the first time to see if he can develop a quarterback that he recruited from year 1 to year 3 if he leaves, or year 4 if he stays all the way through. Because we haven't seen Auburn do that in Gus Malzahn's tenure, whether it was offense coordinator or head coach. So I think that'll be something interesting to find out whenever Bo Nix comes in there and into the system for sure.
And talking with Will was getting a little irritated. He's like, y'all always pick on Auburn for recruiting JUCO guys, but what about Oklahoma? Past 2 years,
I mean, yeah.
a couple good ones, and I think that's going to be interesting to see just how recruiting has changed. Talking with Ben about websites like Rivals and 24/7 Sports, where this is not just becoming on national side. This is a year-round media fiasco where we, as fans and media, drool over where 17 or 18-year-olds are going to try to go to college. Situation with Justin Fields, that could change in a year.
Exactly.
It's interesting to see, and you saw a lot of the top guys where they were last year and what they're doing now. Trevor Lawrence about to head into a
took Kelly Bryant's position.
Made him transfer, and Kelly Bryant, although probably not as talented as Trevor Lawrence, playoff last year in an ACC title. But Trevor Lawrence getting ready to play in a college football playoff, Tua as well in his second year, and you got the other guys too. They're Kyler Murray. I don't know how in the world that guy got unseen, but if he doesn't, we're going to have another show about whether just completely dedicated baseball or football for Kyler Murray, which would be better. That's gonna be he's gonna get the money in baseball though. But it's kind of just a crazy day. We're going to get a lot more throughout the afternoon that we're going to be updating you all on. But thanks for joining. Thank you to our guest as well, coming on and talking, kind of giving the schools. I love that. What are they doing?
Absolutely.
Effect. I can't remember the tailback's name. He's at Texas now, and playing against each other here soon. But it's going to be interesting to see as well. We want to thank you for tuning in. Next week, hope you ever have a good Christmas. Probably be off next week for Christmas with the holidays, and a holiday here in itself of National Signing Day, the early signing period. We want to thank you to everyone watching. Thank you for our man Will Manis back there, just grouching about Auburn football and how they need to get better. It's been a fun one. But we want to make sure to like, subscribe, and share with all as well. If you're watching on Facebook, thanks for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening to us on the car ride as well on iTunes or SoundCloud as well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.